They say family always comes first, but sometimes family is exactly what you need protection from. I'm Margaret, born in 1952 in Cleveland, Ohio. Back in 2019 at 67, I discovered my own son was destroying my granddaughter's childhood. I felt helpless watching it unfold, but then something happened that changed everything. Today, at 72, sitting in my quiet living room with my granddaughter Emma practicing piano in the next room, I'm finally sharing this because every child deserves someone who will fight for them. If you're listening, drop your thoughts below and please like and subscribe. I had just returned from a 2-week cruise with my church group, feeling refreshed and eager to see my family. My son Marcus had been living in my house with his wife Sandra and their blended family while I was away. As I pulled into my driveway that Tuesday evening, I could hear shouting from inside. The front door was slightly ajar, and what I heard made my blood run cold. "Emma, get in that kitchen right now and finish those dishes. I don't care if you're tired you made this mess, you clean it up." Marcus's voice boomed through the house with a viciousness I'd never heard before. I quietly pushed the door open and stepped inside. What I saw broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. There was my 6-year-old granddaughter Emma, standing on a step stool at the kitchen sink, tears streaming down her face as she struggled to reach the dirty plates. Her little hands were red and pruned from the hot water, and she could barely lift the heavy pots. Meanwhile, Sandra's 2 children, 9-year-old Tyler and 7-year-old Mia, were sprawled on my expensive leather couch, playing video games on a brand new gaming system I'd never seen before. They had snacks scattered everywhere, juice boxes dripping onto my hardwood floors, and not a care in the world. "But Daddy, I already cleaned my room and took out the trash," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible over the running water. "Don't talk back to me. Sandra's kids don't need to do chores because they're guests. You live here, so you work." "That's how it goes," Marcus snapped, not even looking at his own daughter. I stood there in shock watching this unfold. This was my house, my granddaughter, and my son treating her like a servant while his stepchildren lived like royalty. The contrast was so stark it made me physically sick. Sandra emerged from what used to be my home office, talking loudly on her phone about some spa appointment. She glanced at Emma struggling with the dishes and simply walked past, not offering to help or even acknowledging the child's distress. "Marcus," I called out, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. He spun around, his face flushing red when he saw me. "Mom, you're back early. We weren't expecting you until tomorrow." "Clearly," I said, walking over to Emma and gently taking the dish from her small hands. "Sweetheart, why don't you go wash your hands and face? Grandma's here now." Emma looked between her father and me, uncertainty written all over her face. Marcus started to protest, but one look from me silenced him immediately. Over the next few days, I observed everything with growing horror. Emma was responsible for cleaning the entire downstairs, doing laundry, and even preparing simple meals for Sandra's children. Meanwhile, Tyler and Mia were showered with new toys, clothes, and constant attention from both Marcus and Sandra. When Emma asked for help with her homework, she was told to figure it out herself because the adults were busy with Tyler's soccer practice or Mia's dance recital. When she scraped her knee playing outside, Sandra barely glanced up from her phone to tell her to put a Band-Aid on it. But the breaking point came when I discovered the financial betrayal. While going through my mail, I found notices from the bank about a second mortgage on my house, a mortgage I never authorized. My hand shook as I read the documents showing that Marcus had somehow taken out a $150,000 loan against my property. I confronted him that evening after the children were in bed. "Marcus, explain this to me," I said, sliding the bank documents across the kitchen table. His face went white. "Mom, I can explain. Sandra's ex-husband stopped paying child support, and we needed money for the kids' activities and school supplies. School supplies don't cost $150,000, Marcus. Where did this money go? Sandra joined us then, her defensive attitude immediately apparent. We used it for important things. Tyler needed new sports equipment. Mia's dance classes are expensive. And we wanted to take a family vacation to Disney World. A family vacation that didn't include Emma, I said quietly. Emma's too young to appreciate Disney, Sandra replied dismissively. Besides, someone needed to stay home and take care of the house. I stared at them both, seeing clearly for the first time who they really were. You took out a mortgage on my house to spoil your stepchildren while treating my granddaughter like hired help. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Mom, you don't understand. Blended families are complicated. We're trying to make Tyler and Mia feel welcome. By making Emma feel unwelcome in her own grandmother's house? The argument that followed was explosive. Marcus accused me of favoritism, Sandra claimed I didn't understand modern parenting, and I realized that my son had become someone I barely recognized. The man who once brought me dandelions and called me his best friend had turned into someone who could watch his own daughter suffer without flinching. That night, I made a decision that would change all our lives forever. I called my lawyer first thing in the morning. Within a week, I had all the legal documentation I needed. My lawyer confirmed that Marcus had forged my signature on the second mortgage documents, which constituted fraud. But more importantly, I had begun the process of seeking temporary guardianship of Emma, based on the neglect and emotional abuse I had witnessed and documented. The confrontation came on a rainy Thursday morning. I sat Marcus and Sandra down at my kitchen table with a folder full of papers between us. I'm cutting off all financial support, effective immediately, I announced calmly. You have 30 days to find alternative housing arrangements. Sandra's coffee cup clattered against the saucer. You can't be serious. Where are we supposed to go? That's not my concern anymore. You've proven you can't be trusted with my generosity or my granddaughter's well-being. Marcus leaned forward, desperation creeping into his voice. Mom, please. We made mistakes, but we can fix this. Emma will be treated better, I promise. Your promises mean nothing to me now, Marcus. I've watched you prioritize everyone except your own daughter. I've seen you turn my home into a place where a 6-year-old child feels unwanted and unloved. I slid the guardianship papers across the table. I'm taking temporary custody of Emma. She'll stay with me while you figure out your lives. The explosion that followed was predictable. Sandra screamed about me being a controlling old woman. Marcus accused me of trying to steal his daughter, and threats were made about lawyers and custody battles. But I had done my homework. The evidence of neglect was overwhelming, and my financial resources far exceeded theirs. Emma, who had been listening from the stairway, appeared in the doorway with her small suitcase already packed. Can I really stay with you, Grandma? She asked quietly. The look of hope in her eyes broke my heart and strengthened my resolve simultaneously. Yes, sweetheart. You're staying right here with me. Within 2 weeks, Marcus and Sandra had moved out, taking Tyler and Mia to a cramped apartment across town. The house felt peaceful for the first time in months. Emma and I established new routines that centered around her needs, her education, and her happiness. The transformation was remarkable. Within a month, Emma's grades improved dramatically. She started smiling again, laughing at silly jokes, and asking questions about everything around her. I enrolled her in piano lessons, something she had always wanted but was told was too expensive when Sandra's children needed new designer clothes. Her first recital was 6 months later. As I watched my granddaughter play Fur Elise with confidence and joy, I noticed Marcus sitting in the back row. He had tears in his eyes, finally seeing what his daughter could accomplish when someone believed in her. After the recital, he approached us hesitantly. "She's amazing, Mom." I didn't realize how much I was hurting her. Recognition is the first step, Marcus. But Emma's stability comes first now. Meanwhile, Sandra and Marcus's marriage was crumbling under financial pressure. Without my support, they couldn't maintain their lifestyle. Sandra's children began acting out, missing their comfortable life in my house. The stress of 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment, combined with mounting bills, created constant conflict. Marcus started showing up at my house more frequently, asking to spend time with Emma. I allowed supervised visits, but I could see the guilt eating away at him. He would watch Emma practice piano or help me in the garden, seeing glimpses of the childhood he had stolen from her. "I want to come home, Mom," he said one evening after Emma had gone to bed. "Sandra and I are separating." I realize now that I chose the wrong priorities. I looked at my son, this man who had once been my pride and joy, and felt a mixture of sadness and resolve. This is Emma's home now, Marcus. Her stability, her routine, her sense of security, that all comes first. You made your choices. But I'm her father. Then act like it. Get your life together, find stable housing, prove you can put her needs first. Maybe then we can discuss expanded visitation. Marcus moved out of state 6 months later, taking a job in construction. His contact with Emma became sporadic birthday cards that arrived late, phone calls that were promised but never came. Emma stopped asking when Daddy would visit. I changed my will, establishing a trust fund for Emma's education and future. The house, my savings, everything would go to ensuring she had every opportunity one could provide. Marcus would inherit nothing, a decision I made without regret. 2 years later, Emma was thriving. She had friends, hobbies, and dreams. She talked about becoming a veterinarian or maybe a concert pianist. Her confidence had blossomed, and she carried herself with the dignity of a child who knew she was loved unconditionally. Sandra remarried and moved to another state with her children. Marcus sent a Christmas card last year with a photo of himself and a new girlfriend. Emma looked at it briefly and handed it back to me without comment. "Do you miss him?" I asked gently. She considered this seriously, as she did most things. "I miss the daddy I thought he was. But I like our life now, Grandma. I like that you listen to me and help me with my homework and come to my recitals. I like our life too, sweetheart. Now at 72, I have no regrets about the choices I made." Emma is 8 now, reading at a 5th grade level, and planning our next adventure, a trip to New York to see a Broadway show. She's learned that love isn't about blood relations or obligations. It's about showing up, paying attention, and putting someone else's needs before your own. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do is stand up to your own family. But sometimes it's also the most important thing you can do. Emma deserved someone who would fight for her, and I'm grateful I was strong enough to be that person. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to hear more stories about standing up for what's right. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose love over loyalty, and comment below about a time you had to make a difficult choice for someone you loved. Moral lesson: sometimes love means making the hardest choices, protecting innocence, and creating safe havens where little hearts can heal and flourish beautifully.